recently, there's been a surge of multiplayer co-op games like Lethal Company and Chained Together, which I bought both. Now, what made these games so successful? It's partially the virality they have because they can endlessly be clipped and shared. The game basically makes you go haha. With high accessibility at a cheap price of like $5 to $10, you can experience the game yourself with friends, which makes it pretty fun to play and watch. I was wondering how I can manipulate this idea into something similar. So I went to ask ChatGPT and it spit out some pretty horrible ideas. But while reading some of its prompts, I thought of an Instagram reel I saw a while back. And while brainstorming, I started writing about the concept of speaking to get certain things done, like jumping or sprinting. I was initially planning to have one player saying jump, only make them jump and not their friends. But by making the jump command global, this can add a ton of complexity and fun moments that can be clipped and made viral as free advertising for me. The more the game makes you hate your friends, the better. I gave a part of the game's mechanics away here, so please don't steal that idea. So, without much knowledge on making a multiplayer game, and no ulterior motivation than raking in that sweet indie game dream money, I started a new Unity project. It should be as simple as writing multiplayer.work, right? And since I plan to release this game on Steam, there's a ton of packages I'm installing, which I have no idea how to use, and I'm getting a ton of console errors, and I've been staring at this queue for an hour, and I'm definitely doing okay, not at all doing bad, I'm definitely doing okay. I'm starting to get a feeling that this is going to take longer than I thought it is. I ended up accidentally following in an older tutorial because I was so sleepy and lost doing this, so I literally deleted the whole project and restarted. Like, I literally had no idea what she's talking about here.
I am going to adding the KCP transport, but there are other transports you can use such as telepathy or relay transports.
Anyways, I stole the player movement script from my other game and eventually got a broken multiplayer working. This was my first time making a camera controller for a third-person player, but I eventually got it working after clamping the rotation. After a quick acid trip, I tried connecting two players at once, and I'm sure you can tell it's not synced up properly. And if you're wondering how I even got these two clients connected, don't ask me. I literally just copied code from a YouTube video. I didn't really understand it. I didn't even read it properly, honestly. There's a ton of stuff that doesn't just work right out the box in multiplayer, so I was cleaning up things like that. Like, you have to make sure that one camera isn't controlling another player's camera. Like, you have to make sure moving a mouse has to also not move other players' screens as well. You can do that with a variable it gives us called isLocalPlayer, which basically, if it's not for the local player, you just don't run it. I had a massive problem where post-processing would not work on the first player after the second player joins. And guess what? All I had to do was drag this under my camera. It seems simple, but I may or may not have spent 3 hours on this. But this taught me more about how multiplayer works, so I'm gonna cope and say this helped me learn. Anyways, the library I'm using can do this.
Ask not what your country can do for you.
It runs the speech recognition on your computer and not online, which is important because it's free to run. We won't have to rely on cloud providers, and we don't want to because it'll cause more latency and cost for a core feature like this. Another problem we have is actually sharing the transcript of what each player said to every other player, but we'll slip that under the carpet for now and take a look at that later. Most speech recognition we see has a start and stop phase where the computer analyzes everything after you stop recording, but for this project, your computer will constantly be analyzing whatever you're saying, just like Mark Zuckerberg and the plethora of social media apps. I eventually got the voice streaming working in game. Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Oh my god, it's actually working, no way. That's crazy. Then I paired a user saying jump to the player actually jumping. So these words actually pick up similarly to each other, like jump, shump, John, and Chow. The voice recognition model isn't insanely accurate, so that's why I have so many other words that can catch what the player is trying to actually say. And in a game like this, it's pretty important that the time between what the user said into the mic and what shows up on the screen is important. Well, for obvious reasons. Here's a website that understands our voice fast. Test, jump. And here's our game. Jump. Yeah, Our game is not terrible, but it could be better for sure. But knowing that we are running the speech recognition locally, it does give us an excuse as to why it's slower. I have a ton of ideas for this game, but it looks like it'll take a lot longer than I thought. So let me know in the comments if you like this kind of video style. And yeah, that's it for part 1.